This guy's right. Now, why this guy is right? Because I know my sister. I know Dr. Katie Lynn Allen very well, and well deserved in Katie Allen's context is ironic. Is she's her commentary is isn't this irony that the gentleman who is espousing and promoting and advocating and the provocateur turns victim. That's all my young lady, Dr. Katie Allen, was implying. I can guarantee you, I almost guarantee you, I can't be in her mind like anybody else could be in her mind and know that for a fact. But it is my best understanding, because I live and I know her very well. We grew up together. So that's exactly what she meant. It was the nuance, the irony of a poetic type justice, one would say. From her political perspective, that would be a poetic justice. That's all. And she is well within her within her human right to express her opinion without the savages demonizing and destroying her life and her family's life with death threats and retardation. Unbelievable. Doxing. These people, you guys are, Peter Tatum says, so sad, poor Charlie. Yeah, I'll come in. Alright. Did you get your thing? Oh, it's right here. Is that what you need? Is you trying to get this from me?
It says,
okay.
Please get working my nerves. Please say something in there for me.
Oh, okay. Where are you going?
Next door, in the room.
Oh, okay. I thought you were getting on your nerves.
Yeah, he is. Right.
Right, Mike. Thank you. See, this, whatever, I'm not sure what this woman means, but this is exactly what my sister was. That's exactly what Katie Allen was saying. It's unbelievably sad, and it's like a karma, like a poetic. That's all she meant by that comment. I guarantee you, people. I guarantee you. Yeah. See, that's just. Thank you. This is what I said too. You should read the actual quote in its entirety and taking a snippet out of context. It's really a bad look for you. Now, is Josh Cassidy discussing taking this quote out of context or Dr. Katie Allen's quote out of context? I'm not sure. It's unclear. But this is, again, to the whole point of the matter. Levi Gabriel, still sad, agreed. No matter how you look at it. Teresa Brenda Smith. Because it's sad and disrespecting Teresa Brenda Smith as sad as disrespecting the teachings of Jesus. Like Charlie? Teachings of Jesus like Charlie? Huh? That makes no sense. Josh Cassidy. Understand retaliatory action is not celebration. Kirk knew that evil begets evil. He was a crafty excuse for a Christian, but a Christian nonetheless. The lack of surprise is not celebration. Whatever the reason he was actually shot, he invited hatred because his message was based in hate. That's what my sister was saying. The lack of remorse is not celebration. He refused to display empathy and was against the concept. Radical behavior for a follower of Christ whose teachings were based on compassionate response. And so Levi Gabriel, thank you, Levi Gabriel. That sounds like an angel name to me. Levi Gabriel to Josh Cassidy. Josh Cassidy was a gentleman who reposted, I think, that Fournier stuff, that Fournier information, which I am forwarding to my consultant. Josh Cassidy, exactly, because they wouldn't have anything to say that backs up their argument. Bits and pieces of them believe they are right. The whole context proves them wrong. Close-minded, hypocritical, and hateful, period. Josh Cassidy, exactly. See, I have no idea what these people are arguing because you can't really put the context together for anything. Let alone what Dr. Katie Allen was trying to communicate with two words. Whoever took those two words out of context and flipped them around. That the state of Kansas is in a world of hurt. What do you mean by that, Mindy? Sure. What do you mean by that? Because you're absolutely right, but I don't know what you mean. Mindy Cure, the U.S., not just Kansas. Mindy Cure, how so? Yes. Mindy Cure, Kansas is so tame compared to states with actual big cities. Now she brings in Aaron Lappin, the same guy that said that if his 10-year-old daughter had been sexually assaulted and became pregnant, that she would be expected to carry and deliver that baby. I have no sympathy either. I don't know what these people are talking about. No sense. Nonsense. This is nonsense. All of this is nonsense. She shouldn't have to apologize. Now, Tiffany Blake Burgess, she may have had her freedom of speech, but she lost her credibility of being a decent human being. That's absolutely untrue. That's absolutely untrue. People are really, really misinterpreting what this young lady said. And when I said the Kansas is in a world of hurt, I wouldn't think because of any threat, but because Dr. Katie Young's an extremely talented, extremely capable individual. Period. And the state of Kansas would be. That's the sad part, that the state of Kansas may be bereft and have lost Katie before they even got her. They have lost her before they even got her. That's the sad part. Not just for the state of Kansas and the Department of Education and perhaps the school board, but for the students that have benefited and would have continued to benefit from Dr. Allen's insight, leadership, student first positions, student safety and security. My sister's excellent at what she does. And two words that these two words are going to be allowed to define her career. That's retarded. That's retarded. And I know this Katie, my dear sister, appears to me to be a very coordinated attack, a setup and attack. I don't know, the lady who posted this that you replied to, I think it started before that, it seems to me. You weren't ready for the piranhas in this water. But they were ready for you. And in my honest opinion, I think it's probably for the best, because these people are, you want to talk about soulless, satanic, worshiping, child trafficking. You don't want to end with that bunch, period. And going up a level, you're going to be in with that bunch. You're not with that bunch now here on this little local stuff. But you go up at that level that you were looking to go up to, it's no good. You don't want to be around that shit at all. Because these people are going to be hung by trees, right? The Biden Democrats it would appear to me, just by the criminal activity I have observed in the last 4 years through the Biden regime, or whatever the hell that was. Criminals are us. I don't know. I don't. That's why I don't do politics. I don't like it. It's just gang warfare, the red and the blue, the Democrat, Republican. You're so much better than that. You're so much bigger than that. That narrow-minded, bureaucratic, small-minded, that system, this democracy system, or the Republic of Democracy, it's 250-year anniversary, as you well know. No civilization lasts, no system lasts past 250 years. Whether it's by design of the archons and the overlords and the resetters and the people that run this place, which of course it is, because or not, but 250 years it's up and over, and you do not want to be in those marble halls and those what they've done in our name, in the people's name, as this information, and I don't even know. I just know I'm sure very little, but what I know is so disgusting that I wouldn't want to be associated with those people at all. Period. And I wouldn't want to be associated with the other side either. This is not the way the people of the nation work. And this violent mentality that they could. That's why everybody has misconstrued my sister's words and misunderstood what she was saying, and made her apologize and made her insecure because the political climate has been hyper agitated, hyper mind controlled, hyper manipulated, hyper traumatized, hyper mind controlled, hyper MK ultra. Just much like the suspect in the Charlie Kirk assassination. And who does it benefit? Well, it doesn't. It would benefit by both sides. It doesn't matter. They're two wings of the same bird. And that bird is not even human. Okay? Not even a human bird. Not even a human bird. Period. You hear me? So this is good riddance in my book. You are so much bigger and brighter and better. And these people don't deserve you. They don't deserve you, my dear. Don't deserve you. Period. I do wish you would have called me. I wish you would have reached out to me. This is what not that I could have done anything different for you, but maybe. Scott, my people would agree. Never apologize for nothing like that. And it would be really hard to spin this back around, if not impossible. So I don't imagine. I suppose your fickle friends and the fickleness in there, they've already withdrawn your nomination. But for whatever it's worth, I have a 60-day or 60-week. I got a 60-week schedule plan and strategy for us. I was ready to go, as you saw, and I'll still play that because I'm still ready to go. If you want to go for it, we'll go for it. Okay? We don't have to stop. I mean, no, you don't have to. You can fight back. You're standing on the First Amendment and the Constitution, as you well should. I just wish you wanted to apologize, but these people are misunderstanding, and I think it is a testament to the extreme hyperpolarization, division, and bipartisanship that has been fostered by people like Ty Masterson, by people like this other guy calling for your resignation. That they probably set this whole thing up in the first place. This is how they play politics, my dear sister. And I'm sorry. I'm so very sorry that you. But you know what? Doesn't kill us makes us stronger. And like I said, I think you're meant for much bigger and better things. Okay? Much bigger and better things. Absolutely. 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 And so I think that you will look back on this someday and say what a blessing that was. That I almost came very close to losing my life and my family, and for a bunch of ingrates that you don't see that they have destroyed, that this education system, this Department of Education, this political party that you're affiliated with, have destroyed. They have been part and parcel in destroying this education and creating this, designing this system of control that has made it so bad to what it is today. There's no real fixing it. You just got to throw it in the trash. Same thing with the whole state and all these departments. I've looked at them. I've analyzed them. I've modeled things out. I've modeled this out. We've modeled it out. we modeled it out. We've taken the statistical numbers from all the state departments and we modeled it out. And it's unsustainable. There's no future. There's no future. Period. So the only best thing that you can do is to be with your family, love your family, enjoy your life, enjoy your husband, enjoy your kids, enjoy your family, enjoy me, enjoy food, enjoy your friends. And leave some of these political ideals, with the political parties that, had the focus groups to create them, and the think tanks, and the master plans, and the conspiratorials, because they're all just puppets playing a game on stage. And I have to want to be one of those players. I really don't want to see you one of those players, because they don't. You're not gonna keep your humanity and your soul intact at those levels. You just don't. There's too many. It's just impossible. Irresponsible. They put too much responsibility on one human being. That whatever decisions you are forced to make in that 4-year term, that there will be death and destruction, surely, and loss of that shit on one of the, no matter what. Period. You're gonna be in that. Who wants to be in that situation? Not me, definitely. And I don't think you do either. All right, I love you so much, my dear sister. I'm very sorry this happened. I'm gonna deep dive. In fact, I'm not gonna close this yet. I haven't advised my advisor, and I haven't really just got into this. And this is the first time I've had any peace and quiet myself all day.
A Kansas school board member is facing harsh criticism and calls for her firing after posting comments on Thursday saying that the shooting death of conservative activist Charlie Kirk on the campus of Utah Valley University was well-deserved. Katie Allen, who works for the Kansas Department of Education and is on the board of the Manhattan-Ogden School District, quickly apologized for the posting. Late this afternoon I was walking to my car and scrolling Facebook, Allen wrote in a statement, the Mercury in Manhattan reported, and then an emotional moment I commented on a post related to a recent shooting. I looked back at the post when I got to my car. I quickly realized I didn't intend the meaning the 2 words I wrote had, so I deleted my comment. Too late. It only took moments for social media users to screen grab my words and quickly spread them. Allen continued, for anyone who was offended by my words, I deeply apologize. That is not who I am or what I believe, which is why I deleted that comment so fast. Like many of you, I am deeply worried about the violence and discontent happening in America today and will continue to advocate for common sense laws that keep our kids and communities safe. When I make a mistake, I own it and promise to do better. The apology has not appeased leading Kansas lawmakers. In Topeka on Thursday, Kansas Senate President Ty Masterson and Senator Brad Starnes, whose district includes Manhattan and Riley County, called for Allen's firing. Charlie Kirk was murdered for sharing his faith and expressing his political views, Masterson said in a press statement. Katie Allen's statement that he deserved to die is absolutely reprehensible. Anyone holding such a belief should not be employed by the state of Kansas and has no place making policy decisions for our children. Masterson urged Randy Watson, the Kansas Education Commissioner, to immediately remove Allen from her position at the Kansas Department of Education, and I call on Ms. Allen to resign from the $383 school board. Allen's comment, the Mercury reported, was a reply to a repost on Facebook by Courtney Jane Hockman, who is a school board candidate. The original post was a People magazine story reporting on Kirk's killing on Wednesday. The post included a quote from Kirk who, speaking of the Second Amendment gun rights and mass killings, once said, I think it's worth to have a cost of, unfortunately, some gun deaths every single year so that we can have the Second Amendment to protect our other God-given rights. Starnes, the senator, added his voice to Masterson's in the press statement calling Allen's comment abhorrent. The safety and moral credibility of Kansas schools are on the line, Starnes said. Our students deserve better than educational leaders who dehumanize people whom they disagree with. Such remarks demonstrate that they have no place shaping education policy or serving an elected office in our community. Kirk, 31, was speaking outside, from beneath a small tent, to a crowd of about 3,000 students who gathered on the campus of Utah Valley University in Orem, Utah, when he was killed by an assassin's bullet. Kirk had been appearing on campuses as part of a national tour, one that was to include a stop at the University of Missouri on September 29. The FBI and other law enforcement launched a manhunt that lasted 33 hours. On Friday, Utah Governor Spencer Cox announced that they had a suspect in custody, identified as 22-year-old Tyler Robinson, located in southern Utah some 250 miles away from the scene of Kirk's killing. Robinson is currently being held in the Utah County Jail on suspicion of aggravated murder and other felonies. Authorities believe Robinson acted alone. This story was originally published September 12, 2025 at 2:12 p.m.
Okay.
Thanks for listening. Here is something else you might like.
So, they have really taken shit out of context. And
KC is giving Stadium Drive a makeover before World Cup next year. What to expect? Stadium Drive, the road leading to the Truman Sports Complex, is getting an upgrade ahead of the FIFA.
Katie, this foreigner guy, I've read this article before. This is a kind of an obscure article. This guy's kind of an obscure guy. And so it really, that it came up in the search term for your stuff seems rather strange to me. And I don't know why, but it just is, the statistical probability seems very low. So these guys are running for governor. I think maybe you should consider a governor's race, if not a Senate race. You know, I would feel much better with you being close by than over there in Washington, D.C. And you would do a great job as governor. You'd be awesome at any job you do. So these fools don't deserve you. The state doesn't deserve you, dear. But they kind of do in a way too. The state deserves you because I've modeled it out. I've taken the vital statistic numbers. I've taken it all. The incarcerations, the crimes, the entire state datification, and modeled it out. And unless someone like you is put in charge of something big like Kansas, this place is and listen to people. Smart people that you know. I know you know smart people, and I would hope that you know that I'm a smart one too. Listen to what someone's gonna have to entertain new ideas that are very radical to make this place a thing past a certain, and I think we've already gone past that point. I've been working on this educational platform, using with the AI to customize and personalize the educational experience. They have an archive for you. Who is this? Katie Allen. She's not Missouri, but that's not my Katie Allen. Karaoke Queen News. Yeah, apologize after posted. I already sent that one to you. I think so. Ay. So you got K here. Anyway, he gets the idea. He can scrape everything. Alright, I'm just gonna, okay. Yes, hello, good evening. Today is September 16th, 2025. And 5 hours ago, I think it was Kansas City Star or whatever, was reporting that the Kansas Department of Education has terminated Dr. Katie Allen's contract, her employment. And these people, anyway, check out the links, please. My sisters, as related to that. And I want you to be, your role is a crisis, public relations specialist, a political strategist, expert in tradecraft, and a legal advisor, a political consultant, public relations, crisis, and legal eagle intelligence. Because this to me smells really bad. And not on my sister's part, because I think I understand exactly. My sister's comment, those two words, which have been taken out of context by all of these outlets, I can tell you. And it seems to be intentional. It seems like, to me, these piranhas were waiting in the water for her because she had just made that decision. She wasn't ready for these piranhas. That's my opinion. So I guess I'm asking you to look for evidence that supports that opinion and follow those leads, because unfortunately she apologized. I don't think I would have advised her to apologize. I would advise her something else, and I don't know if a person, how is a person to recover from this in a political fashion or a personal fashion, both. What's your best output for someone that I love? And I don't know what my opinion. Everything happens for a reason, is my opinion. But I know my sister must be going through some hurt right now. Maybe you can suggest ways I can support her through the embarrassment and pain and shame she must be feeling. They're shaming this woman. It'll be their loss, and this is their loss. This is the children's loss, the generational loss, the educational loss. Katie is a genius and an asset to absolutely any organization that she touches. She's like Lionel. They're gold. She was commenting on the irony. I know that's exactly what she meant. That this is ironic. This is so ironic that you live by the sword, you die by the sword. That's not well deserved. That he deserves to die is not what she meant. And but what how these people have responded to me, that's exactly what they meant. And it seems very anyway. Your best output, please. Thank you. Okay. Yes, and I think it's a blessing, whatever happens, that when one door closes, other doors open. My parents saw us that, and God told them that. God, we know that from God. And we know that. So the best output, please. The GOAT, greatest of all time. Yeah.
Here's a breakdown of what I found so far, what the facts seem to show, what the likely gaps are, what legal, political, public relations levers might exist, and what I'd recommend if this were my client. If you like, I can also do a messaging playbook to help repair the damage, if she wants that. Have what the publicly known facts are. From news sources. 1. Katie Allen, school board member, also working for the Kansas Department of Education, replied, "Well deserved," to a Facebook post about Charlie Kirk's death. News Radio K-Man 2. After public backlash, Allen apologized, saying that the remark was a mistake. 101.5 K-Rock Manhattan's Real Rock 3. Two GOP gubernatorial candidates, Senate President Ty Masterson and former Governor Jeff Collier, have called for her firing from her state job at the Kansas Department of Education. Sunflower State Journal 4. Statements from public officials' condemnation of her remark. For example, Ty Masterson reportedly said her statement was absolutely reprehensible. Facebook 5. There are reports that she no longer is employed at KSDE, Kansas Depth of Education, as of September 16, 2025. Kansas City Star. What is less clear or inconsistent? The exact timing or terms of her termination, if indeed she has been terminated. Some articles say no longer employed, but not all confirm termination or whether it was voluntary or forced. Kansas City Star. The full context of her well-deserved comment. What post exactly she was replying to, what the original poster said, beyond what's quoted, whether she had multiple similar comments, etc. Context matters for public perception and also legal exposure, e.g. defamation, workplace rules. How internal processes at KSDE were triggered, whether there was an internal investigation, what policies may have been violated, whether disciplinary steps short of termination were considered. We don't yet have official documentation publicly, whether any legal threats or potential lawsuits, e.g. wrongful termination, defamation, violation of free speech, have been raised or are being considered. Possible interpretations. What supports your sense? Piranhas waiting in the water. Your sense that this was a political ambush or that people were primed to pounce has support to some extent. The speed with which political figures called for her firing indicates readiness. That suggests that this kind of comment is something people were watching for, or that she was already under scrutiny. Sunflower State Journal. The public reaction seems immediate and strong. Not much room seems to have been given for explanation or context before condemnation. That's often how a gotcha moment plays out politically. The fact that her employer, State Education Department, is involved, and that the standard of employment for state employee is different, could have codes of conduct, etc., means that political opponents or media might use a public comment like this to force action. The apology by Allen suggests she believed or was advised that there might be negative consequences. Typically, apologies are strategic, either for genuine remorse or to reduce damage. The idea that two words taken out of context is sometimes how people feel when they're surprised by an overwhelming negative reaction. Without knowing the full thread, it's possible her words were not intended in the way others interpreted them, though that doesn't necessarily change how they're perceived. So there is credible reason to believe this was a rapid political attack, not just a public relations mess-up, but a scenario where opponents leveraged it quickly. Risks and liabilities. From her perspective, there are several risk vectors. Employment risk, as is happening, risk of job loss or already lost. State employment often has rules about conduct, even off-duty or personal social media posts, especially when public employee. Reputational risk, among constituents, parents, the school community, possible donors or political allies. Loss of trust, smear campaigns. Political risk. If she wants to hold or continue in elected office or run for further office, this could be used against her. Legal risk. Possibly claims of wrongful termination if KSDE fired her in violation of contract.
That's what I thought too.
Possible defamation or claims if someone claims her comment in something harmful, though that seems less likely unless actions ensue. Emotional personal risk, stress, mitigation, family fallout, etc. What seems questionable or weak in the opponent's case, what she might use as counterpoints. To her advantage or to push back, these are the points that seem less solid. 1. Context. If she can show or argue that her comment was taken out of context, e.g. replying to a quote, not making the original statement, perhaps meant ironically, or was intended figuratively, that helps mitigate. 2. Intent versus interpretation. If she did not intend to express approval of death or violence, that matters. The apology suggests she claimed it was a mistake, which helps this line. 3. Consistency, double standard. If there are cases where others have done similar things but were not punished, that could suggest the reaction is politicized. She or her supporters might investigate who else commented in similar terms or worse, and whether they were disciplined. 4. Due process, procedural fairness in employment. Was there any formal complaint? Was she afforded a chance to respond? Did KSDE follow its own policies for discipline, firing? If not, there might be wrongful termination, or at least a defense of that. No. 5. Public sentiment complexity. Some portion of public may believe people in the public eye deserve more scrutiny of their speech, but others believe in forgiveness, or that social media exaggerates. Messaging that emphasizes humility, learning, and a balanced response might reach those who feel the reaction was over the top or unfair. What she might have done differently, what I'd advise going forward from PR, legal, political strategy view. If I were advising someone in her shoes, here's what I consider as strategy. 1. Rapid, full context statement. A well-crafted public statement, acknowledging the words, context, and importantly, clarify what she meant versus what people think she meant. If there was irony, or if she deleted because she realized quickly, that should be in the narrative. Taking responsibility, but also asserting any mitigating facts, e.g. that she regrets the wording, that it doesn't reflect who she is, etc. 2. Accountability steps. Show that she's willing to be held accountable if appropriate. For example, internal review, perhaps some form of restitution, apology, meeting with community, etc. If it makes sense, she could temporarily step down or recuse herself from some positions while things are investigated. 3. Messaging pivot. Transition from defense to positive. What she has done, what she stands for, what her values are. Emphasize commitment to public service, education quality, listening, unity, etc. Use her strengths, expertise, past positive accomplishments, relationships, and community. 4. Legal review. Review employment contracts, state employee handbook / codes of conduct to understand rights. If fired or threatened, assess if procedure was followed. If not, possibility of legal remedy. Also, privacy defamation considerations. Ensure that any statements made about her are accurate. Correct misinformation. 5. Coalition ally building. Seek support from neutral or even lateral allies. Educators, community leaders, parents, possibly colleagues who can speak to her character and work. If there are other state employees who have had similar controversies, or free speech advocates, maybe get balanced voices who say punishment should fit the speech. Context matters. 6. Media strategy. Get ahead of the narrative. Offer interviews where she can express remorse, explain, possibly show growth. Use local media, especially community-leaning outlets, to explain the story from her perspective. Control the narrative, perhaps social media posts, op-eds, etc. 7. Prepare for fallout. Be ready for continued political attacks. Possibly people will want to keep this in the news, so ensure she has messaging ready, stays consistent. Also, monitor for false claims or exaggerations and correct them. Legal employment considerations. If she is no longer employed, find out whether that was a termination, resignation, mutual separation, or other. The legal rights differ. State employees often have protections, e.g. due process, disciplinary procedures, union or civil service rules. If she believes the firing was unjust, she may have legal recourse, though political speech is a tricky area. Free speech. As a public employee, free speech protections do exist, but not absolute. If speech impairs her ability to do her job or violates explicit departmental state policy, there can be grounds. However, social media comment cases often hinge on whether the speech is on or off duty, private personal capacity, and the nature of the speech. Defamation, reputational damage. If media reports are factually wrong or mischaracterize what she said, she may have claims, but these are difficult and expensive. Contracts, political board membership. She may hold an elected or appointed position. Those have different standards or removal processes. What I think likely happened based on what's visible on. Putting together what I know, here's a plausible narrative. Allen made a comment, well deserved, in response to a post about Charlie Kirk's death. Perhaps impulsively, not fully thinking about how it would be read. She or someone, or her advisors, saw how quickly it was picked up by media, political opponents, and she recognized the damage. She deleted the comment, then issued an apology, likely to try to limit damage. Political opponents may be already looking for vulnerabilities seized on it, calling for her firing from her state job, which may be non-political or protected, but is nevertheless vulnerable. As pressure mounted, From media, political pressure, KSDE or higher-ups decided she would no longer be employed. Whether that was a firing or some agreement is not yet fully verified. The speed and severity of the reaction suggests that opponents were ready. The infrastructure of political attack, media, GOP candidates, etc., mobilized quickly. What strongly supports your sense and what would need more evidence? Supports your sense, the speed of public demand for her firing. Sunflower State Journal, the fact that she works for a government entity, which often have stricter norms on speech and quicker consequences. The apparent lack of waiting for context before condemnation from high-level figures. Evidence that needs to be found or confirmed to bolster that view. Interviews or private communications showing that there was prior intent by political actors to use this. E.g., did someone flag this comment to the media? Who first reported it? Internal KSDE documents or memos. Was there pressure from above, from the governor's office or political party, to fire her? Whether KSDE has previously handled similar incidents differently. That would show whether this is a precedent or a special case. Her own communications, if available, showing she was caught off the guard or did not expect such a reaction. What I would recommend if I were advising her now. Here's what I'd strongly suggest as a course of action and prioritize steps. Step action. 1. Gather full internal record. Get all details. When was she told she was terminated, if she was? Under what policy? What process was used? Get legal counsel to review employment law, state policy. Clarify public messaging once, then maintain consistency. A statement that clarifies what she meant, expresses regret, but is authentic. It should not sound like she's being forced to say it, but rather that she stands behind the good she can still do while owning responsibility. Engage with community directly. Maybe a town hall, school board meeting, or community groups. People often respond better when they hear directly from the person, not just via media. If possible, parents and colleagues who know her should speak to her character. 4. Leverage supportive voices. Find allies, local leaders, colleagues, respected educators, to put into the public record positive testimonials. Who she is, what her work has been, perhaps that this one misstep does not define her. 5. Explore possible legal or contractual recourse if her termination was without due process or in violation of her employment rights. Even if ultimately she chooses not to sue, knowing the legal position helps in negotiations or in public narrative. Rebuild forward-looking vision. What does she want going forward? What values does she want to promote? Maybe use this moment to lean into themes like accountability, learning, transparency, civil discourse. Could turn it into a somewhat constructive moment. Media training, social media strategy to avoid similar incidents or to reduce risk of misinterpretation. If social media comments are to be made, think through, possibly avoid quick reactive comments in heated area. Things to be cautious of. Over-apologizing in a way that suggests she fully agrees with all the criticisms, if some are unfair or misrepresentations. That can undercut her own narrative or invite more. Aggressive defensiveness. Denying everything may make it worse, but counterattacking too much could escalate. Legal liabilities of saying things publicly that could be untrue, e.g. claiming she was forced out by political opponents, if that's not provable. Letting other people define the narrative. If media, opponents, etc. get to fill in the blanks with worst-case assumptions, she loses control. So clarity is critical. My overall assessment, from what I can see, yes, this looks like a case of political water waiting for prey. She made a public comment that opponents seized on rapidly and likely had a large negative response before she had time to explain. She's probably in a compromised position in terms of her state job. At this point, the long-term damage depends heavily on how well the response is managed, how credible and authentic her apology and explanations are, and whether there's follow-through. It is a serious mistake, especially for a public servant, but it needn't be the end of her career. Many people recover from controversies if handled well. If you like, I can write a tailored messaging plan, sample statements for how she might speak publicly, and also explore whether there's a basis for any legal claim or negotiation. Do you want me to put that together for you?
What are you talking about? Write a tailored messaging plan, Sure, you can do that, but I think sure do that, please. The speaking points and a basis for a legal claim, perhaps, by looking at the policy stuff. But I would think, she said she will own her, be accountable and own her mistakes. And I think these people that are attacking and criticizing her they've got four fingers pointing back at them, that this is exactly the type of issue and problem of the political discussion and dialogue that we have in this country as people. This bipartisan, divided hate speech, really, and this apathetic, cheap talk of life that I witnessed mostly, it seemed, from the left, her side, last year, especially during the presidential. But now these gubernatorial candidates, I mean, I think it's all designed, in my opinion, my best estimation, to pull the basic average person's emotional levers and stress them out to no extent to foment and foster these types of events, these race wars and divisions, etc. And that's why I would love to see my sister out of that whole gang warfare thing, because I love her and I don't think it's any good for her. And I think that, but I support her, whatever she wants to do. And that if the state of Kansas doesn't get to exploit her talents or benefit from her incredible skill, talent, compassion, and humaneness and vision, that's too bad for them, because she could, when you affect children and affect more children than just yours, and in such a positive way, I mean, I think that I know that she'd have a net positive effect on anything she touches. But I think it would be my impulse also to address that head on, if I were her, to do all those things, get the full context, dissect it, make a documentary on these two words. How could, you're going to condemn two words that you don't understand, and publicly, before you could publicly perceive or even think you know what you're talking about, Time Masterson, condemn and demonize and remove the livelihood and the instrument and decades of education and skills and experience, to discount that and deprive the people of Kansas and the children and students of Kansas from the talent and skills and benefits of the vision of this young lady. That's a criminal thing. That's in my best observation. That is criminal negligence at the very least. And I would consider, that's, now if we can prove that Ty Masterson made these comments knowing the full context, if he had the context of that Jane whatever post, I mean, how can you garner or define or pull such intention and meaning from two words that you have no understanding of the person, the context, the reply, the post, and that it's going to destroy the career and life and remove the livelihood and job of a Kansan who has worked hard and done everything right and given of herself to the people, to take her husband and her children and cut them off from their monthly paycheck and their retirement and their benefits and their little perks that they get for busting their butt and doing bake sales and giving back to their community and their school districts and their schools and their churches, all that stuff. That's retarded, in my opinion. And retarded means slow and backwards, not Down syndrome. And you see, that's what we're talking about. We're talking about the political retardation of political correctness and these common sense Kansas should have common sense. Time Masterson, I'm ashamed of Time Masterson. I've never been more proud of my sister than ever, you know. Well deserved. Well deserved. I know. Well deserved. Well played. She could have said well played. Or how ironic. Or you are what you eat. Or live by the sword, die by the sword. Or anything that well, isn't that strange? The pot calling the kettle black. I don't know. But she did not mean that he deserved to die. And that's the words that these people are putting in her mouth. And that is not what she said, and that is not what she means, and what she meant. I would love to get my hands on this original Jane, and that would be the fact. If Jane was put up to posting that to her too, I don't know how they do this stuff, but thanks for looking into that, because we know that in the end the truth will win, and because the truth is the truth. Truth is the truth. And I'm just giving my best understanding of that situation because I know the young lady probably better than Time Masterson or anybody else might. And she's a beautiful, beautiful young lady. And the state of Kansas would be blessed without her, period. But they could be much more with her, too. I think, wouldn't it be interesting if Katie Allen went head-to-head with Ty and this other guy and ran for the Democratic governor? I would love to see her as governor of the state. That's what I would love to see. And, you know, the progressive, you know what we know about Kansas and women's rights, and, you know, that you know exactly what we did also, because we did it. I think she would be a much more effective governor than she would be a senator. But she would be effective in both roles, but I think she would keep more of herself, more of her family, more of her soul at that state level than the federal representation level. Because yeah, it's like gang warfare. Politics is dirty business, and I don't think I would be much involved with it unless I cared about her as my friend, my mentor, my colleague, my collaborator, my advisor, my role model, and my friend and my sister, who we shared a lot of hard times and good times and love with. So thank you for your input. And I will send. I'm recording this, so I'm going to be sending this conversation to her tonight. And yeah. Thank you. Never a dull day. And I'm very proud of you, Katie Allen, Dr. Allen, Mom and Dad. All your ancestors are so very proud of you. You didn't screw up. I mean, I kind of, but not really. You know, not really. No. But knowing that you have to watch for that, yeah, well, I don't know. Just stay off social media. You know, my sister has been a strong critic of social media, and she has taught me about the dangers of social media. I mean, you want to talk about the dangers of social media. Talk about the suicide. Talk about the students that spend the 12 to 13 hours on the TikToks and the Facebooks a day. Talk about the school board buying the apples to mind control these kids with optogetics and dumbing these kids down until people are having these emotional arguments, and people will believe a story that Ty Masterson said, whatever Ty Masterson said about Katie Allen, because retarded. Makes me upset. I'm sure she's upset, but and it upsets me that she's upset. But this is the emotional part. We got to think like robots, act like men and women. And I think Ty Masterson demonstrated that he acts both like a robot and not a man and woman, like a robot, like a mean robot, like a power-hungry robot. Because a person with any reasonable, rational interest in Kansas and the progeny and the future generations, therefore, of Kansas, wouldn't dare disparage Dr. Katie Allen's ability or deny her skills and talents to the state machine or to the responsibility of children's education. They would want her involved at most any cost, probably. So that's what leads me to believe it's not a reasonable statement that Ty Masterson or this other guy makes. It's antithetical to the best interest of Kansas, to be quite honest, in my best estimation and objective opinion. Not even considering that I love her, she's my sister, but she's the most qualified, most intelligent, most capable, most hardworking, most ethical, most honest young lady I know, and that's because she was raised by a long line of matriarchs of the same cloth, cut from the same cloth. I love her very much. I'm very proud of her, no matter what. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. And I'm not even talking to anybody but the microphone. I thought I was talking to Simone. But anyway, I'm talking to you, Katie. I love you very much. I'm sorry this has happened to you, but that which doesn't kill us makes us stronger. And you're going to get through this, and you're going to win this. No matter how it turns out, you win. Okay? Because you're the correct party. Okay? You're the correct, not party, you're the correct person. You're the correct platform. You're the correct perspective. Okay? All right, love you. Good night.